I never thought I'd be making a video about something this dark, but here we are. You guys, we're about to dive into one of the most disturbing true crime stories ever. Like seriously, this is Jeffrey Dahmer we're talking about. I've been researching this for weeks, and I still can't wrap my head around it. It's so crazy, you guys. Just prepare yourselves, okay? This isn't going to be an easy one to get through. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Jeffrey Dahmer was born in 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He seemed like a normal kid at first, you know? But things started getting weird pretty early on. He was fascinated with dead animals, you guys. Not just looking at them, but dissecting them and stuff. It's so messed up. As he got older, things just got worse. He started drinking heavily in high school, and after graduation, his life just spiraled. His first murder happened in 1978 when he was only 18. It's like, how does someone even get to that point? I can't even imagine what was going through his mind. It's crazy to think about, you know? So, you guys, this is where it gets really dark. Dahmer didn't stop at one victim. Over the next 13 years, he killed 17 men and boys. It's just, I can't even process that number. These were real people with families and dreams, you know? And Dahmer just took all that away. It's so heartbreaking. His victims were mostly young men of color, often from the LGBTQ+ community. It's like he targeted the most vulnerable people he could find. He'd lure them back to his apartment with promises of money or drinks. And then, God, it's just so awful. I almost don't want to say it, but you guys need to know the truth. It's really hard to talk about, you know? Okay, you guys, this is where it gets really, really disturbing. Dahmer didn't just kill his victims. He ate parts of them. I know, it's so messed up. He said it made him feel like they were a part of him forever. It's like, what kind of twisted logic is that? I can't even begin to understand it. But it gets even worse. Dahmer would create these altars, I guess you'd call them, out of his victims' body parts, like skulls and bones, arranged in some sick display. He'd take photos of the process too. It's like he was trying to create some perverted form of art or something. God, it makes me feel sick just talking about it. I honestly don't know how the investigators dealt with seeing this stuff firsthand. So, Dahmer did all this in his apartment. Can you even imagine? People were living their normal lives right next door while all this was happening. The craziest part? There was this horrible smell coming from his place. His neighbors complained about it all the time, but nothing was ever done. He had this big blue drum filled with acid that he used to dissolve bodies. And his fridge, oh my God, you guys, it was full of human body parts. This is the part that really makes me angry, you guys. The police had so many chances to catch Dahmer, but they kept letting him go. And you know why? A big part of it was because he was a white man. It's like the system was so biased that they couldn't even see what was right in front of them. There was this one time when one of Dahmer's victims actually escaped. The police found him naked and confused on the street. Dahmer convinced them it was just a lover's quarrel, and they believed him. If Dahmer hadn't been white, would they have believed him so easily? I don't think so. Okay, so remember that victim I just talked about? That was Conorak Synthesomphone. He was only 14 years old, you guys. And get this, his older brother Somsak had been molested by Dahmer a few years earlier. When the police brought Conorak back to Dahmer's apartment, they ignored the smell, the pictures of dismembered bodies on the walls, everything. It's just, I can't even imagine how his family felt when they found out. The police basically handed their son back to a monster. Dahmer's reign of terror finally ended in 1991 when one of his intended victims, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape and flag down the police. This time, they actually listened and investigated. When they entered Dahmer's apartment, they found evidence of his crimes everywhere. It was like walking into a real-life house of horrors. I can't even imagine what was going through Tracy Edwards' mind during all of this. Dahmer was sentenced to 15 life terms in prison, which is like over 900 years, but he didn't even serve 3 of them. In November 1994, he was beaten to death by another inmate named Christopher Scarver. Scarver said he did it because he was disgusted by Dahmer's crimes and because Dahmer would taunt other inmates by shaping his food into body parts and using ketchup as blood. It's like, even in prison, Dahmer couldn't stop being a monster. It's a pretty brutal end to a brutal life. So, what do we do with all this information? Dahmer's crimes changed the way we think about serial killers, about police procedures, about so many things. But we can't forget that at the heart of this story are the victims and their families. Their lives mattered, and they deserve to be remembered as more than just Dahmer's victims. It's important that we keep talking about this stuff, you know? You guys, I know this was a heavy video. Trust me, it wasn't easy to make. But I think it's important that we talk about these things. You know, we need to remember the past so we can do better in the future. If you're feeling upset after watching this, that's okay. Reach out to someone, talk about it, and always remember to stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, okay? Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you in the next video.